Congratulations to the both of you on becoming the festive superstars of I. On behalf of the organizers, extend my sincere congratulations to you. Wishing you joy under their radiance. As previously promised, my sister, Mr. Yang, and I have met with the Dream Master. We delved into the truth about Penacony and its Stellaron, and have come to a consensus. Both I and the Oak family cannot acquiesce to your request.
Just as expected.
We acknowledge the perspective of you, Nameless. Penacony does require change, but not as you propose. The planet of festivities cannot and will not revert to a place characterized by chaos, disorder, or anarchy. Through your journey of overcoming obstacles, you must have glimpsed the essence of that era. The vulnerable ruthlessly eliminated, equality non-existent. Ultimately, only heroes like yourself. But I would dare ask, if you did not possess the special status of having a Stellaron, a dystopia for the survival of the fittest, or a sweet dream paradise for all.
That's not...
Mr. Sunday, even if the members of the Oak family can't fully agree on what to do about the Stellaron, now the Stellaron issue concerns the life and death of everyone on Penacony. If anyone has a better suggestion, the crew is more than willing to listen. Also, it'd be best to tell us the ins and outs of that meeting. This way, we'll at least know what Welt and Miss Robin are dealing with, and the reason why they failed to make our appointment.
Ah, Navigator. That is precisely my intention. With all present, let's begin by discussing the details of that meeting. Let's talk about our tribulation and our final course of action.
You mean to say that for the longest time, there have been scoundrels?
Indeed, Dream Master. Once the Charmony Festival begins, the Stellaron...
This is indeed surprising to me. The dreamscape is maintained by the collective effort of the Do you have any...
I'd like to ask,
I would have never...
if I have offended, the Astral Express extends its sincere apologies. But the current circumstances are dire.
Dream Master, it's just to prove that the Charmony Festival has nothing to do with the Stellaron. If we're being overly
Sunday, Robin. I've watched you two grow up. The magnitude of this matter is enormous and cannot be taken lightly. Sunday, might I ask you to beseech them?
I will do as you command.
Robin, could I entrust you to be present as a witness, to document the truth?
I will do as you command.
May thy will be carried.
Oh, triple-faced soul.
Let us begin.
Understood. Question. Have you devoted your life?
Naturally.
Do you love your god as you do yourself?
Naturally.
Have you strayed from the path expected by your god?
Never.
Have you ever been inordinate with your asks of your god?
Never.
Then, a final question. Do you swear to fulfill all vows, past?
With the Eon as my witness, if I do not deliver on my words,
They have seen your faith, and have endorsed your faith.
Just a moment.
What is it?
I have another question I hope to have answered. To my understanding, the family's harmony and prosperity have never... The god you both mentioned. Are they truly Shipe?
Mr. Yang should know that those belonging to the family toil together as if they were kin. Such a delicate and complex symphony. Which other god?
Perfectly harmonized. Therein lies the problem. It isn't an outsider lurking in the shadows who changed the harmony, but in the distant past, there existed an Eon. With one flick of the wrist, they crafted the laws of the cod. Later, they fell. The route traversed by this Eon clashed with the harmony, ultimately being absorbed and fused into it. The chorus that one, though an Eon may perish, paths with no masters still linger. In the all-forgiving harmony, echoes of bygone dissonance may subtly arise.
Mr. Yang. Being overly astute can be a detriment. Especially when you find yourself alone and without allies.
So,
For the sake of our grand cause, son.
What?
Sorry, Robin. It's just you. I did not...
So, this is the true reason I can't sing? The shadow that envelops Penacony is actually...
We were never children of the harmony. Our ideal paradise could not have been crafted within the foundation of law, humanity, and through harmony.
Unbelievable. To think that there would be...
What have you done with Mr. Yang and
Don't worry. I just gave...
You should know that these actions...
Should we need to stand against the Nameless, your efforts for the justice of Penacony are evident. Smart kid.
If it is the order that drove you to imprison Welt and Robin, and you're using them to
You're mistaken, Miss Himiko. They are in very safe hands. Penacony and the entire universe have witnessed far too much innocent natural selection. The world abides by this principle, establishing the well.
So you've decided to resurrect a dead
If Miss Himiko is interested, let's draw back the veil. I'm willing to divulge the unembellished truth as to the intentions of the Order's Pathstriders. So, come with me, everyone.
Huh?
Welcome. This isn't any location.
Did you do the same to Welt?
It's a tuning process. Tuning allows you to Now, everyone. From this point on, you will, I believe, after going through... Let's begin. This story happened when Robin and I were very young. We were victims of the Stellaron disaster, and the family's Mr. Goat later on. Robin and I lived a time with nary a care in the world. One day, that baby bird was tiny. It didn't even have all of its feathers. We decided to build a nest for it right there and then. However, thinking back, it was clear that if we left the fledgling in the yard, it stood no chance of surviving until spring. We decided that when it regained its strength enough to spread its wings, we would release it back into its destiny. No. I passed the power of choice to you. Stick to the original plan, and build a nest with soft net where the Charmony dove fell. Or build a cage for it, and feed it, giving it the utmost care from within the warmth of a home. I eagerly await your answer.
guy just casually. If it were me, after all, leaving it there.
I can't decide even if I was gonna release it back into the sky.
It looks like he really has no intent. Back to the question. No special reason. It looks like he really... Back to the question. No special reason.
I can't decipher even if I was gonna release.
That guy just casually. If it were me, after all.
I'm happy to see that you made a choice similar to ours. We passionately nursed it back to health, preparing only the best food for it every day. I watched it for a long while by the window, probably about 3 or so days. Finally, on the 137th attempt, it succeeded. The fall shattered its wings. It writhed helplessly in my embrace. But I deeply regret the choices we made. This story happened when I was appointed as Bronze Melodia, a position exclusive to the Oak family, charged with listening to the problems and vexations of Dreamscape residents, and providing them with the relevant guidance. It was during that period that I had the opportunity to hear voices from all corners of the Dreamscape. Joy, sorrow, arrogance, regret. The complex tapestry of human nature that formed the world. And I was fortunate to catch a glimpse of it. He was a dream chaser, and an illegal stowaway. Just like the rest of them, he came to Penacony in search of a better life. He told me, I sold everything I could at home. He had a plan in place. He would buy back his children after hearing the Dream Chaser's story. I immediately appealed to the Bloodhound family to cease their pursuit. I'll tell you the outcome soon. Will you do as I did and try to convince the Bloodhound family to stop, or will you remain silent? I look forward to everyone's decision.
A dream chaser story. But what cruel repercussion would this choice result in?
This question... I'd probably choose to ask the Bloodhounds.
It seems illegal stowaways are really quite common on. He sold his kids to chase a dream. Even if he intended to go back for it with that thought, there's only one.
It seems you, like me, say he never gets caught. He would only die from delirium, should he be apprehended. Could the hounds afford to... As to your choice. And the story this time... This story happened the day I was appointed the Oak family head. At that time, Mr. Gopherwood was the current Dream Master. And as per his wish, we had a private conversation. What surprised me was that the Dream Master had only come to deliver a letter to me. He let me read its contents, and it was a letter from my sister. The letter contained the usual pleasantries, anecdotes from her travels, nothing out of the ordinary. Just as I started wondering how this letter related to our discussion, the Dream Master began to speak.
Do you know who wrote this letter?
My sister, of course. But why would you personally
To help you grasp the full...
From what the letter indicates,
Correct.
a stray bullet.
A war has broken out on that planet. It is because of this she hoped to ease the people's suffering.
Is she all right?
If the operation was success by the Eon above, the bullet struck her neck directly, yet possibly as a reward for her
Those damned savage. Now you understand why she always wears such a...
How could this happen?
It's all in the past, so please don't worry. Likewise, I've prepared one last... Because this is merely a figment of... Would you still support Robin's journey?
I often feel like I've dreamt of similar scenes. Their confusion and fear are lucid to me. If Mr. Sun with each trailblaze, dangers and tribulations.
Miss Robin's courage is admirable, but the fact that she is also Mr.
I can't believe that happened to Miss Robin. The strong defense.
I am now aware of everyone's stances. Raising these questions merely serves to illustrate one point. The plight of Penacony cannot be salvaged by the harmony. The true foundation for a sweet dream paradise. I know the suffering of being tormented. The turmoil of losing your way. How sorrow, and even despair, set in when matters don't work out. All of this causes me unending pain. We must teach the weak how to live a happy life. And this life isn't some noble propriety that the upper crust preaches, but in definitive...
So what is your definition of living?
Good question. When one mistake after the next permeates the masses, they become impossible to trace. Thus, the amassing of these individual caged nature is always accompanied by predation and sacrifice. Its antithesis, that is what I want to do. Unite people's happiness under the banner of order. They won't need to make bitter choices any longer, nor face the weaknesses of humanity. They can cast aside their primal instincts to build a haven for mankind. Simply describing thoughts is far too abstract, so allow me to provide a simple example. As you all may know, there are societal norms like weekends and long weekends that exist on some worlds. During these hard-earned rest days, people are given the chance to extricate themselves from the stresses of everyday life, allowing a certain tranquility to return to their souls. And it is only on these days that people do not have to adhere to the law where the strong prey on the weak. They can live out their lives happily during these brief intermissions. It's just a pity that 2 or 3 days are still too fleeting compared to the span of a lifetime. From where I stand, society's ideal system should be 7 rest days. Following Sunday, there should ensue a second, a third, and indeed an infinite procession of Sundays. This should be the face of the new world. Idyllic, eternal, peaceful days. And thus, every person can return to their base selves in this utopia. Some gaze in reverence at the stars, pouring their whole... There would be no need to bear the hardships of reality. Miss Firefly, you who are stricken with entropy loss syndrome.
It sounds...
But what is the price to attain all this?
The cost is minute, merely a personal and eternal sacrifice. If this paradise is to be maintained for everyone, someone must remain trapped in solitary wakening until the end of the cosmos.
Wakening. Which means that this so-called paradise is still a dream. Stepping into this paradise means forsaking reality, correct?
It is not forsaking, but transcending. Flesh, blood, sorrow, weakness. If the physical is the root of spiritual suffering...
But in this supposed bliss, people won't have defeated their demons. The chance to overcome their tribulations would be forever lost to them.
That's another way of understanding it. But there is no shame in escape. On the contrary, don't you agree, Miss Firefly? And as to why we sleep, but this is not in conflict with the grand plan. Only in acknowledging this can we truly understand the frailty.
I admit that you are a born leader. Your perspective on humanity brims with but unlike you, I live for the self. From my perspective, individuals making choices for themselves is their birth. The want to escape may be innate in the weak. But whether they are weak or not, perhaps in your mind, you also view me as weak? Because I don't think so.
Since Miss Firefly has said her piece, the Astral Express will also naturally... We'll leave it to you. Just as Mr. McHale instructed before.
What is...
Does this place ring any bells? It's the realm within a dream bubble. This was left to Dr. Edward from the Dreamscape sales store, so I thought you might be able to help us. I'm counting on you then.
Himeko, I still don't get...
I wasn't sure. It was just a hunch. Exactly. This is where you and Firefly encounter. The question now is, who brought you here? We're drawing closer to the truth.
All right, but...
I guess...